You wake up every morning knowing you're capable of more, don't you? You look in the mirror and see someone who was meant for greatness, yet you're still checking your bank account with that familiar knot in your stomach. You're tired of pretending that mediocrity feels good. You're exhausted from convincing yourself that wanting more makes you greedy, when deep down you know that your dreams aren't accidents. Let me tell you what I see when I look at you. I see someone who was designed to create, to build, to transform not just your own life, but entire communities. I see someone who carries within them the same infinite intelligence that built kingdoms and moved mountains. You are not broken. You are not lacking. You are a living miracle who has simply forgotten how to access what was placed inside you before you took your first breath. Today, you will discover that everything you've been taught about money, success, and your own limitations has been a lie. This is not another motivational speech that leaves you feeling good for 5 minutes. This is your invitation to step into an entirely new identity. Not the version of you that hopes and wishes and tries harder, but the version that knows, that decides, and that moves with divine certainty. The man or woman who finishes watching this video will not be the same person who started it. Because today, you're going to remember who you really are. You're going to understand why every attempt to build wealth from the outside has left you empty, and you're going to learn to activate the infinite source that has been waiting inside you all along. This is your moment of awakening. This is where your real life begins. If you're ready to stop playing small and start living like the king or queen you were born to be, then subscribe now, because what you're about to discover will change everything you thought you knew about creating true wealth and lasting legacy. Number 1, connection with God and inner potential. You have been searching in all the wrong places, haven't you? You have been kneeling before distant altars, whispering prayers to a God you believe lives somewhere far beyond the clouds, while the greatest treasure in the universe beats within your chest with every heartbeat. You have been taught to beg for what you already possess, to seek outside what was placed inside you before the foundations of the earth were laid. Listen carefully to these words, for they will shatter the chains that have kept you bound to mediocrity. The kingdom of heaven is not coming someday to somewhere else. It is here. It is now. It is you. Every breath you take is the breath of the Almighty flowing through mortal lungs. Every thought that crosses your mind has the power to reshape reality because you think with the mind of God. You are not a beggar pleading for scraps from heaven's table. You are an heir, a co-creator, a living temple housing the infinite intelligence that spoke galaxies into existence. The tragedy of mankind is not that we lack power, but that we have forgotten who we are. We have been conditioned to see ourselves as separate from our source, as powerless servants groveling before a master who demands our suffering. But I tell you the truth that transformed my reign and built an empire that echoed through eternity. God is not outside you, waiting to be impressed by your religious performances. God is the very essence of your being, the core of your identity, the wellspring from which all wealth, wisdom, and wonder flow. Picture a mighty river that has been dammed by fallen trees and accumulated debris. The water is still there, powerful and endless, but blocked from its natural course. For years, the riverbed below remains dry while the source above grows stagnant. This is the state of most souls I observe. They possess infinite creative force, unlimited potential for abundance, and direct access to divine intelligence. Yet they live in spiritual drought because they have allowed the debris of false teaching, societal conditioning, and religious tradition to block their connection to the source within. When I was young, before the weight of the crown touched my head, I made a request that would define not only my reign, but reveal the secret that separates the wealthy from the wanting. I did not ask for gold, though I could have possessed all the treasures of neighboring kingdoms. I did not ask for longer life, though I feared the brevity of mortal existence. I asked for wisdom, but here is what most miss in that story. I did not ask a God who lived in some distant realm. I connected with the God who already lived within me, who had always been there, who was simply waiting for recognition and partnership. The moment you stop seeking God and start recognizing God, everything changes. The moment you stop praying to heaven and start accessing heaven, poverty becomes impossible. The moment you understand that infinite intelligence flows through your thoughts, divine creativity moves through your hands, and unlimited love beats within your heart, you stop living below your inheritance and start walking in the fullness of who you were created to be. Your greatest failure has not been your lack of education, your limited connections, or your current financial situation. Your greatest failure has been treating yourself as ordinary when you carry within you the extraordinary. You have been living as a refugee in your own kingdom, begging for what you already own, seeking permission for what is already yours by divine right. But today, this moment, as these words penetrate the barriers of false humility and religious deception that have kept you small, something shifts. Today you remember. Today you stop looking up and start looking within. Today you stop asking and start accessing. Because the God you have been seeking in temples made with hands has been dwelling in the temple of your own being, waiting patiently for you to come home to yourself. Wake up to your true identity. You are not human having a spiritual experience. You are spirit having a human experience. And that spirit, that essence, that divine spark within you has been given dominion, authority, and unlimited creative power to transform not only your circumstances, but the world around you. Number 2, spiritual law of wealth. There is a cruel lie that has infected the minds of generations, poisoning their relationship with abundance and keeping them trapped in cycles of financial struggle. You have been taught to separate the spiritual from the material, to believe that godliness and wealth cannot coexist, to think that poverty somehow makes you more holy. This lie has cost you more than money. It has cost you your birthright. The spiritual law of wealth operates on a principle so simple that the sophisticated mind often misses it, yet so profound that, when understood, it becomes the master key to unlimited abundance. What you think, what you feel, and what you believe creates the reality you experience. Not partially, not sometimes, always, without exception. Your outer world is nothing more than a perfect reflection of your inner world projected onto the canvas of time and space. Consider this truth. Every single thing that exists in the material realm first existed in the realm of thought. The chair you sit on was once an idea in someone's mind. The building that shelters you was once a vision before it became visible. The device you hold, the clothes you wear, the food you eat, all existed as thoughts before they became things. This is not philosophy. This is the fundamental law governing all creation. But here is where most people stumble and fall short of their divine inheritance. They think thoughts of fear and scarcity while expecting abundance to manifest. They feel unworthy while demanding to be treated with honor. They believe deep in their hearts that they are destined for struggle while claiming to desire success. And then they wonder why their prayers seem to go unanswered, why their efforts produce meager results, why wealth remains always just beyond their reach. Let me share with you a principle that transformed not only my kingdom, but my understanding of the divine economy. During the early years of my reign, I noticed that the wealthiest merchants in my kingdom all shared a peculiar trait. They spoke about their ventures not as hopes or dreams, but as established realities. They discussed their future profits as if they were already counting them. They made plans for expansion before their current projects were complete. At first, I thought this was arrogance or delusion. Then I realized it was faith in action. These merchants had discovered what few understand. The spiritual law of wealth responds not to your desperate desires, but to your confident expectations. It responds not to your begging, but to your believing. It responds not to your fear of poverty, but to your assumption of abundance. They had learned to think, feel, and believe from a position of wealth before they possessed the material evidence of their prosperity. The universe is not withholding abundance from you. Abundance is your natural state, your divine inheritance, your spiritual birthright. But the universe cannot give you what contradicts your deepest beliefs about yourself. If you see yourself as separate from God, you will experience separation from abundance. If you see yourself as unworthy of wealth, you will attract circumstances that confirm your unworthiness. If you believe that money is evil or that poverty is noble, you will sabotage every opportunity for financial increase that comes your way. But when you understand that you are not separate from God, that you are not unworthy of wealth, that money is simply a tool for good in the hands of the righteous, everything shifts. When you begin to see yourself as a co-creator with divine intelligence, when you recognize your inherent worth as a son or daughter of the Most High, when you understand that your prosperity serves not only yourself, but all those whose lives you touch, the floodgates of heaven open. This is the turning point where poverty ends and abundance begins. You must stop identifying with lack and start identifying with the source of all supply. You must stop thinking like someone who needs money and start thinking like someone who attracts money. You must stop feeling unworthy of wealth and start feeling magnetically aligned with prosperity. Here is your practical pathway to activating this spiritual law. For the next 30 days, monitor every thought, every word, every feeling related to money and abundance. When you catch yourself thinking thoughts of scarcity, immediately replace them with thoughts of abundance. When you catch yourself speaking words of lack, immediately speak words of increase. When you catch yourself feeling unworthy, immediately connect with your divine worth. You are not begging the universe for wealth. You are aligning yourself with the wealth that already exists in infinite supply, waiting for someone with the consciousness to receive it, steward it, and multiply it for the good of all. Number 3, individual responsibility and purpose. You have been living as if your dreams were optional, as if your deepest desires were merely wishful thinking, as if the visions that stir your soul in quiet moments were nothing more than fantasy. But what if I told you that every dream placed in your heart, every vision that captures your imagination, every desire that refuses to die despite years of discouragement, is actually a divine assignment waiting for your obedience? The greatest tragedy I witness from my throne of wisdom is not the failure of the wicked, but the waste of the gifted. I see souls carrying within them the blueprints for innovations that could heal diseases, businesses that could employ thousands, art that could inspire generations, and solutions that could transform communities. Yet they treat these divine downloads as mere daydreams. They carry treasure maps to abundant futures, but never take the first step toward the buried gold. You have been deceived into believing that humility means thinking small, that selflessness means denying your gifts, that godliness means settling for mediocrity. But true humility recognizes the magnitude of what you have been entrusted with and refuses to bury your talents in the ground of false modesty. True selflessness understands that your success creates success for others, that your wealth generates wealth for many, that your rise lifts everyone in your sphere of influence. Success is not a luxury for the chosen few. It is a spiritual responsibility for everyone who has been given breath, talents, and dreams. When you fail to pursue your highest potential, you rob the world of what you were uniquely created to contribute. When you settle for less than your divine design, you leave problems unsolved that only you could solve, leave people uninspired who only you could inspire, leave wealth uncreated that only you could generate. I remember a young woman who served in my court, gifted with an extraordinary ability to organize complex systems and solve intricate problems. Yet she spent her days in menial tasks, convinced that her gift was too small to matter, that her dreams of designing better ways to manage the kingdom's resources were above her station. One day, I pulled her aside and asked her a question that changed her entire trajectory. Who appointed you to judge the value of what God placed within you? Within months of embracing her calling, she had redesigned our trade routes, increased our efficiency by half, and created systems that generated more wealth for the kingdom than our gold mines. But more importantly, she had become who she was always meant to be. Her success was not selfish. It served thousands. Her prosperity was not prideful. It was purposeful. This is the turning point where mediocrity dies and magnificence is born. You must stop apologizing for your gifts and start activating them. You must stop shrinking from your calling and start stepping into it. You must stop treating your dreams as optional and start treating them as orders from heaven itself. Your success is not about you. It is through you. It is not for you alone. It is for everyone whose life you will touch, whose problem you will solve, whose burden you will lighten, whose hope you will restore. The wealth you create will fund schools, support families, build hospitals, and launch other dreamers into their destinies. The platform you build will become a launching pad for others to reach heights they could never reach alone. But none of this happens by accident. It happens by intentional decision, by conscious choice, by deliberate action taken in spite of fear, doubt, and the comfortable poison of low expectations. You must decide that your dreams matter because they were not placed in your heart by accident. You must choose to believe that you are capable of extraordinary things because ordinary people do not carry extraordinary visions. Stop waiting for permission to pursue your purpose. Stop looking for someone else to validate your vision. Stop seeking approval from those who lack the capacity to see what you see or dream what you dream. The confirmation you seek is not found in the opinions of others, but in the consistency of your calling, in the persistence of your passion, in the refusal of your dream to die despite every reasonable excuse to abandon it. Your purpose is calling. Your legacy is waiting. Your impact is needed. The question is not whether you are capable of greatness. The question is whether you will choose to answer the divine assignment that beats within your chest with every heartbeat. Number 4, mental discipline and inner transformation. Your mind is the throne room from which you govern your entire existence, yet most people live as if there is anarchy in the palace. Chaotic thoughts run wild through the corridors of consciousness. Undisciplined emotions hold court in the chambers meant for wisdom. Fear, doubt, and limitation sit on the throne meant for faith, certainty, and unlimited possibility. Every morning, you wake up to a battle most people never recognize they are fighting. It is not a battle against external circumstances, difficult people, or challenging situations. It is the battle for control of your mental kingdom. It is the battle between who you have been and who you are becoming, between the thoughts that have kept you bound and the thoughts that will set you free, between the old story of struggle and the new story of success. The wealthy do not possess different circumstances than the poor. They possess different thoughts about their circumstances. They do not have different challenges. They have different responses to their challenges. They do not live in a different world. They live with a different worldview. And that worldview, cultivated through disciplined thinking and intentional mental conditioning, becomes the foundation upon which all lasting wealth is built. You see, thoughts are not neutral. They are not mere mental chatter without consequence. Thoughts are seeds planted in the fertile soil of your subconscious mind, and they will inevitably produce a harvest consistent with their nature. Plant thoughts of scarcity, and you will reap a harvest of lack. Plant thoughts of limitation, and you will reap a harvest of mediocrity. Plant thoughts of abundance, and you will reap a harvest of wealth. This is not positive thinking. This is spiritual law. But here is what separates those who understand this principle from those who master it. The wealthy have learned to think like the wealthy before they become wealthy. They have disciplined their minds to operate from abundance while their bank accounts still reflect scarcity. They have trained their thoughts to align with their destiny, while their current reality still contradicts their dreams. There once lived in my kingdom a young merchant who possessed nothing but a small cart and an unwavering commitment to guard his thoughts like precious treasure. While other merchants complained about difficult customers, he trained his mind to see opportunities. While others worried about competition, he focused on innovation. While others spoke of hard times, he spoke of coming abundance. His competitors mocked his optimism, calling it naive. His family worried about his unrealistic expectations. But day by day, thought by thought, he was reconstructing his inner world. Within 3 years, that young man owned the largest trading company in the region. But his transformation did not begin when his business grew. His transformation began the day he decided to govern his thoughts instead of allowing his thoughts to govern him. His outer success was simply the inevitable manifestation of his inner discipline. This is the secret the wealthy know that the poor have never discovered. You must first become rich in your thinking before you can become rich in your living. You must first develop the mental patterns of abundance before abundance can develop around you. You must first establish the inner reality of wealth before wealth can establish itself in your external reality. But this transformation does not happen in public. It does not happen on stages or in spotlight moments. True change begins in the quiet places, in the secret chambers of your heart and mind, far from the applause of crowds or the validation of others. It begins when you are alone with your thoughts and you choose faith over fear, when you are tempted to worry and you choose to worship, when everything around you suggests limitation and you insist on declaring limitation impossible. The discipline required is simple but not easy. Every morning, you must awaken and consciously choose the thoughts that will govern your day. Every evening, you must review the mental patterns that shaped your hours and commit to higher thinking tomorrow. Every moment between, you must stand guard at the doorway of your mind, refusing entry to any thought that contradicts your divine destiny. Start today. Start now. Begin monitoring the conversation in your head with the same vigilance you would use to monitor who enters your home. When thoughts of lack appear, escort them out immediately. When thoughts of fear knock at your door, refuse them entry. When thoughts of abundance and possibility present themselves, welcome them in and offer them permanent residence. Your mental kingdom is waiting for a king or queen who will rule with wisdom, discipline, and unwavering commitment to thoughts worthy of the royal lineage you carry within. Number 5. Clarity, decision, and faith. There is a haunting restlessness that follows those who live without clear direction, a quiet desperation that grows in the hearts of people who know they want more, but cannot articulate exactly what that more looks like. You feel it, don't you? That persistent sense that you are capable of something significant, that your life is meant to matter in ways beyond your current reality, yet you find yourself paralyzed by 1,000 possibilities and committed to none of them. The poverty of indecision has robbed more people of their destinies than all the economic recessions in history combined. It is not external circumstances that keep most people trapped in mediocrity. It is the internal chaos of a mind that has never settled on a definite course, a heart that has never committed to a clear vision, a soul that has never decided what it truly wants and why it wants it. Vague dreams produce vague results. Uncertain goals create uncertain outcomes. Confused purpose leads to confused progress. But when you achieve the crystal clarity that cuts through every distraction and illuminates a single point of focus, when you make the kind of decision that burns all bridges behind you and leaves only one path forward, when you align that clarity and decision with unshakable faith in your eventual success, you activate forces that most people never experience. The wealthy have learned a secret that the struggling masses have never discovered. The universe responds to certainty. It responds to clarity of vision. It responds to the unwavering faith of those who know what they want, know why they want it, know they deserve it, and know they will achieve it regardless of current circumstances or apparent obstacles. Watch how the truly wealthy speak about their goals. They do not hope they will achieve them. They expect to achieve them. They do not wish they could afford something. They plan when they will acquire it. They do not dream of success someday. They prepare for success today. This is not arrogance. This is alignment. This is what happens when clarity meets decision and both are sealed with faith. But clarity is not something that happens to you. Clarity is something you create through the disciplined process of asking yourself the hard questions and refusing to accept vague answers. What exactly do you want your life to look like in 5 years? Not generally, but specifically. Where will you live, and how will it feel to open your eyes there each morning? What will you do with your days, and how will it feel to know that your work matters? How much wealth will you command, and how will it feel to know that money is never again a source of stress or limitation? I remember the moment everything changed for me. The day when vague aspirations crystallized into specific vision and uncertain hoping transformed into unwavering knowing. I was young, overwhelmed by the magnitude of ruling a kingdom, paralyzed by the countless directions I could take my reign. In desperation, I went to the temple not to ask for general blessing, but to request one specific gift: wisdom to govern well. That specificity, that clarity of ask, that decisive moment when I chose what mattered most above all other possibilities, changed not only my reign but the entire trajectory of history. Decision is the beginning of all transformation, but not the tentative, easily reversed decisions that most people make and unmake daily based on their changing emotions or shifting circumstances. The kind of decision that changes everything is the kind that burns bridges, closes other options, and commits every resource to a single outcome. It is the decision that says not only, "I will do this," but "I will not do anything else until this is done." This is the turning point where dreamers become achievers, where wishers become wealthy, where the possible becomes inevitable. You must stop sampling life like items at a buffet and start committing to one clear course like a general leading his army to victory. You must stop testing the waters of multiple possibilities and start diving deep into one specific destiny. Faith is what transforms decision from hope into certainty. Faith is what allows you to act as if your success is inevitable even when your current reality suggests it is impossible. Faith is what keeps you moving forward when every reasonable voice tells you to quit. Every logical argument suggests you should choose something easier. Every setback tries to convince you that your dreams are too big for someone like you. Today, you must decide what you want with precision that leaves no room for doubt. Today, you must choose your destination with clarity that eliminates every distraction. Today, you must commit with faith that refuses to consider failure as an option. Because the universe is waiting to conspire in your favor, but it cannot support vague intentions or uncertain commitments. Your moment of clarity is calling. Your decision is waiting. Your faith is ready to be activated. The only question remaining is whether you will answer with the certainty of one who knows their victory is not a possibility but a guarantee. Number 6, strategy and execution. You have been seduced by the dangerous myth that passion alone is enough, that good intentions automatically produce great outcomes, that sincere desire inevitably leads to successful results. But I have watched kingdoms rise and fall, witnessed empires built and destroyed, observed the dreams of countless souls either fulfilled or shattered, and I tell you this truth. Passion without strategy is merely emotion, and emotion without execution is merely entertainment. The difference between those who achieve their dreams and those who simply dream is not found in the intensity of their desire or the purity of their motivation. It is found in their willingness to think like architects, plan like generals, and execute like craftsmen. It is found in their understanding that God works through order, operates through systems, and manifests through methodical action aligned with divine purpose. When the Creator spoke the universe into existence, He did not create chaos and hope it would somehow organize itself into beauty. He worked with precision, sequence, and intention. Light before darkness was separated. Waters before land was formed. Plants before animals were created. Each day built upon the previous day. Each element served a purpose in the greater design. Divine creation follows divine strategy. Yet most people approach their dreams like children playing in a garden, randomly planting seeds without regard for soil preparation, proper spacing, or seasonal timing, then wondering why their harvest is disappointing. They start businesses without understanding their markets. They pursue wealth without studying the principles of accumulation. They seek success without modeling those who have already achieved what they desire. Success is not accidental. Wealth is not random. Achievement is not lucky. These are the predictable outcomes of strategic thinking implemented through disciplined execution. They are the natural results of understanding that every goal has a pathway, every destination has a route, every dream has a process that transforms it from vision into reality. I once knew a builder who was commissioned to construct the most magnificent palace in my kingdom. Two approaches were presented to me. The first builder promised to begin immediately, to work with great enthusiasm, to pour his heart into the project. The second builder asked for 30 days to study the land, calculate the materials, design the structure, and plan each phase of construction. The first builder mocked the second for wasting time with unnecessary planning. The second builder warned that construction without strategy leads to collapse. I chose the second builder, and here is what happened. The first builder started immediately and worked with tremendous energy for 6 months before his structure began to crack. His foundation was insufficient. His materials were inadequate. His sequence was flawed. He had to tear down everything and start over. The second builder spent his first month in planning, then constructed the most beautiful and enduring palace in the region. His strategy enabled success. The first builder's passion led to failure. This is the turning point where amateur dreamers become professional achievers. You must stop treating your goals like hobbies and start treating them like businesses. You must stop approaching your dreams with wishful thinking and start approaching them with strategic planning. You must stop relying on motivation to carry you forward and start building systems that produce results regardless of your emotional state. Strategy without execution is worthless theory. Execution without strategy is wasted energy, but strategy combined with execution becomes unstoppable force. When you know exactly where you are going, understand precisely how you will get there, and commit completely to taking the required actions regardless of how you feel on any given day, you become dangerous to mediocrity and irresistible to success. Your strategy must be specific enough to guide daily decisions. Your execution must be consistent enough to compound daily progress. Your focus must be sharp enough to cut through every distraction that attempts to pull you away from your predetermined path. This is not complicated, but it is not easy. It requires the discipline to think before you act, the patience to plan before you proceed, the wisdom to prepare before you perform. Stop scattering your energy across multiple projects that receive partial attention. Choose one primary goal and devote your complete strategic focus to its achievement. Create a step-by-step plan that transforms your dream from overwhelming mountain into manageable daily actions. Then execute that plan with the consistency of sunrise, the reliability of seasons, the persistence of water wearing away stone. Your destiny is not waiting for perfect conditions, unlimited resources, or convenient timing. Your destiny is waiting for strategic thinking and consistent execution, applied to a clearly defined objective pursued with unwavering focus until completion is achieved. Number 7, money as consequence. You have been poisoned by lies about money that have infected your relationship with wealth and sabotaged every opportunity for financial freedom that has ever crossed your path. These lies whisper that money is evil, that wealth corrupts, that poverty is noble, that struggling financially somehow makes you more spiritual. But these lies were not planted by accident. They were strategically placed in your mind to keep you content with scraps while others feast at the table of abundance. Money is not evil. Money has no moral capacity. Money is neutral. It is a tool, an amplifier, a magnifier of whoever possesses it. In the hands of the selfish, money becomes a weapon. In the hands of the generous, money becomes a blessing. In the hands of the wise, money becomes a force for good that transforms communities, builds institutions, and creates opportunities for generations. The fear of money is actually fear of your own power, fear of your own potential for impact, fear of your own capacity to influence and transform the world around you. You have been taught to distrust wealth because someone understood that wealthy people cannot be controlled, manipulated, or kept dependent on systems designed to benefit others. But here is the truth they never wanted you to discover. Money flows to those who solve problems. Wealth gravitates toward those who create value. Abundance seeks those who serve others at the highest level. The more problems you solve, the more value you create, the more people you serve, the more money flows toward you as a natural consequence of your contribution to the world. Money does not come to those who need it most. Money comes to those who add the most value to the marketplace. Money does not come to those who want it desperately. Money comes to those who provide products or services that others want desperately. Money does not come to those who work the hardest. Money comes to those who work the smartest, solving the biggest problems for the greatest number of people. I learned this principle early in my reign when I observed the traders in my kingdom. The poorest merchants were always those who focused on what they needed from their customers. The wealthiest merchants were always those who focused on what their customers needed from them. The shift from need-based thinking to value-based thinking transformed not only their businesses, but their entire relationship with money. One merchant I knew spent his days complaining about slow business, difficult customers, and unfair competition. He focused constantly on his need for more sales, his desire for easier work, his wish that people would appreciate his products more. His business struggled, his stress increased, and his income remained frustratingly low. Another merchant in the same market spent his days studying his customers' problems, improving his product's quality, and finding better ways to serve their needs. He focused constantly on creating more value, solving bigger problems, and exceeding customer expectations. His business thrived, his reputation spread, and his wealth multiplied year after year. This is the turning point where financial struggle ends and financial freedom begins. You must stop focusing on what you want to get and start focusing on what you have to give. You must stop thinking about how much money you need and start thinking about how much value you can create. You must stop asking what the world owes you and start asking what you owe the world. The marketplace rewards value creation with financial compensation. The more value you learn to create, the more money you earn to accumulate. The bigger the problems you learn to solve, the bigger the checks you earn to receive. The more people you learn to serve, the more wealth you earn to preserve. But value creation is not accidental. It requires you to develop skills that matter, solve problems that persist, and serve needs that exist. It requires you to think beyond your own immediate desires and connect with the desires of those you are called to serve. It requires you to become so valuable in the marketplace that the marketplace cannot afford to let you go unrewarded. Stop believing the lie that wanting wealth makes you greedy. The desire for wealth is the desire for freedom, for options, for the ability to choose how you spend your time and energy. Stop believing the lie that money will corrupt you. Your character determines what money does to you, not the other way around. Stop believing the lie that poverty is noble. Poverty helps no one and hurts everyone who experiences it. Money is calling your name, but it will not come to you because you need it. It will come to you because you deserve it through the value you create, the problems you solve, and the people you serve. Your wealth is waiting, but it is waiting on the other side of your willingness to become valuable enough to earn it. Number 8. Spiritual alignment and daily practices. Your life is shaped not by the dramatic moments that capture headlines, but by the quiet rituals that fill your ordinary days. Your destiny is determined not by the occasional burst of inspiration that moves you to action, but by the consistent practices that align your spirit, focus your mind, and direct your energy toward your highest calling. Most people live at the mercy of their moods, their circumstances, their environments, and their emotions. They wake up reactive instead of intentional. They consume whatever content finds them instead of choosing what feeds their growth. They listen to whatever voices are loudest instead of protecting their ears for words that build, encourage, and elevate. Then they wonder why their lives feel chaotic, their progress seems random, and their success remains elusive. But there is a different way to live. There is a way to wake up each day already aligned with abundance, already connected to your source of power, already programmed for success before the world has a chance to program you for mediocrity. It begins with understanding that your spiritual alignment is not a Sunday morning activity, but a daily morning necessity. The first hour of your day sets the tone for all the hours that follow. What you think, what you read, what you speak, what you visualize in those crucial first 60 minutes determines whether you will live that day as a victim of circumstances or as a victor over circumstances. Most people check their phones and allow other people's emergencies, opinions, and agendas to hijack their mental and emotional state before they even get out of bed. This is not living. This is being lived by life. Your morning must become sacred space, protected time, intentional preparation for the day ahead. Before you consume any news, check any messages, or engage with any other person's energy, you must first connect with your source, align with your purpose, and program your subconscious mind with thoughts, images, and affirmations that support your highest good. Begin each day by acknowledging the God within you, not the God far from you. Speak words of gratitude for what you have, what you are becoming, and what is on its way to you. Visualize your day unfolding with divine favor, supernatural opportunities, and abundant blessings. Declare your identity as one who is deeply loved, divinely favored, and destined for success. This is not positive thinking. This is spiritual alignment. But morning alignment must be protected by daily vigilance over what you allow into your mental and emotional environment. Your growth depends on your ability to guard your heart and mind from toxic influences that diminish your faith, kill your vision, and poison your expectation of good things. You cannot allow yourself to be constantly exposed to negative news, limiting conversations, complaining people, and discouraging content, and expect to maintain a mindset of abundance and possibility. I remember a time in my reign when the kingdom faced economic challenges that could have easily overwhelmed my confidence and clouded my judgment. The court was filled with advisors speaking words of fear, limitation, and pessimism. The people were focused on problems rather than possibilities. The merchants were spreading stories of doom rather than dreams of recovery. I made a decision that transformed not only my own mental state, but the entire kingdom's trajectory. I limited my exposure to negative reports and surrounded myself only with those who spoke words of faith, wisdom, and solution. I began each day reading scrolls of wisdom rather than reports of problems. I ended each day in meditation and prayer rather than worry and anxiety. Within months, the kingdom had not only recovered but achieved greater prosperity than ever before. This is the power of intentional environment and consistent practice. What you consistently expose yourself to, you eventually become. What you regularly think about, you gradually move toward. What you daily declare with your mouth, you ultimately experience in your reality. But alignment without action is merely meditation. Faith without works is dead. After you align your spirit and prepare your mind, you must engage your hands and feet in the work of building, creating, serving, and producing. You must write the book, Start the business, make the calls, have the conversations, take the risks, and do the work that transforms inner alignment into outer achievement. Your abundance routine must include specific times for prayer, meditation, visualization, affirmation, and gratitude. But it must also include specific times for planning, working, creating, and executing. The spiritual and the practical must work together in harmony, each supporting the other, neither trying to replace the other. Start tomorrow morning different than you started this morning. Wake up with intention instead of reaction. Connect with your source before connecting with your phone. Declare your day before your day declares you. Align with abundance before abundance aligns with you. Because the person who masters their morning masters their day, and the person who masters their days masters their destiny. Number 9, overcoming fear and strengthening courage. You are at war and the enemy is not external. The enemy lives within your own mind, speaks with your own voice, and knows every weakness, every insecurity, every doubt that has ever haunted your quiet moments. This enemy has a name, the old version of yourself. And until you defeat this internal adversary, you will remain trapped in patterns of limitation that prevent you from accessing the greatness that beats within your chest. The old you whispers cruel lies disguised as protective wisdom. It tells you that dreaming big is dangerous, that aiming high is arrogant, that expecting success is unrealistic. It reminds you of every past failure, every rejected idea, every time you tried and fell short of your goal. It presents these memories as evidence that you should lower your expectations, accept your limitations, and settle for safety over significance. But these are not facts. These are fears. These are not truths about your future. These are testimonies from your past. These are not divine revelations about your destiny. These are deceptive strategies designed to keep you small, safe, and stuck in the comfortable prison of low expectations. The new version of yourself asks different questions. Instead of what if I fail, it asks what if I fly. Instead of what if people reject me, it asks what if people are waiting for exactly what I have to offer. Instead of what if I'm not good enough, it asks what if I'm exactly who the world needs right now. This new voice does not ignore risk. It embraces possibility. It does not deny difficulty. It declares capability. Fear is nothing more than false evidence appearing real. It is your imagination running wild with scenarios that exist only in the realm of possibility, not in the realm of probability. Most of what you fear will never happen. Most of what you worry about will never occur. Most of what you dread will never materialize. But while you are paralyzed by imaginary dangers, real opportunities pass by unrecognized, unused, unclaimed. I have learned in my years of ruling kingdoms and building wealth that courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is action taken in the presence of fear. Courage is the decision to move forward despite the trembling in your hands, the uncertainty in your mind, the doubt in your heart. Courage is the choice to believe in your future more than you believe in your fear. There was a young man in my court who possessed extraordinary gifts of leadership and innovation, but he was paralyzed by the fear of making mistakes that would damage his reputation. He studied endlessly, prepared obsessively, and planned meticulously, but never actually launched the initiatives he had designed. His fear of imperfect execution prevented any execution at all. His desire to avoid failure guaranteed his failure. One day, I called him into my chambers and shared with him a revelation that changed his entire approach to life. The graveyard is full of people who died with their music still in them, their books still unwritten, their businesses still unstarted, their dreams still unrealized. They were not killed by their failures. They were killed by their fear of failing. Do not join them. That conversation transformed him from a perpetual preparer into a courageous executor. He launched his first initiative within a month. It was not perfect, but it was real. It was not flawless, but it was functioning. and it became the foundation upon which he built an enterprise that served thousands and generated wealth for generations. This is the moment where victims become victors, where dreamers become doers, where the fearful become the fearless. You must stop rehearsing your fears and start practicing your faith. You must stop preparing for failure and start positioning for success. You must stop protecting yourself from imaginary dangers and start pursuing actual opportunities. The cure for fear is not more thinking. The cure for fear is more doing. Every action you take in spite of your fear weakens fear's power over you. Every step you take toward your goal proves that your dreams are stronger than your doubts. Every day you choose courage over comfort. You train yourself to trust your ability to handle whatever challenges arise. Fear will never completely disappear, but it does not need to disappear. It only needs to be overruled by your commitment to your calling. It only needs to be overwhelmed by your dedication to your destiny. It only needs to be outweighed by your faith in the God who lives within you and has equipped you with everything you need to succeed. Stop waiting for fear to give you permission to pursue your dreams. Fear will never give you permission. Stop waiting for doubt to confirm that you are ready. Doubt will never confirm your readiness. Stop waiting for perfect conditions to take action. Perfect conditions will never arrive. Your courage is calling. Your dreams are demanding action. Your destiny is requiring you to move beyond the comfortable boundaries of who you have been and step into the uncomfortable territory of who you are becoming. The old you is dying. The new you is ready to be born. The question is whether you will assist in the delivery or resist the process. Number 10, final call to action. Here you stand at the crossroads of two completely different futures. Behind you lies the familiar path of settling for less, accepting limitations, and explaining away dreams with reasonable excuses. Ahead of you lies the uncertain but extraordinary path of living as who you really are, claiming what you truly deserve, and building the life you were actually created for. You cannot walk both paths. You cannot serve two masters. You cannot live as both the old version of yourself and the new version of yourself. Today demands a decision that will echo through the rest of your days and ripple through generations that follow. Today demands that you choose which voice you will believe, which identity you will embrace, which future you will create. The person who began watching this message is not the same person who will finish it. Something has shifted in your understanding. Something has awakened in your spirit. Something has ignited in your imagination. You have been reminded of who you really are, reconnected with what you actually deserve, and challenged to live at the level you were always designed to operate. But awareness without action is worthless. Understanding without implementation changes nothing. Inspiration without application leads only to frustration. The insights you have gained will either become the foundation of your transformation or the source of your regret, depending entirely on what you do in the next 24 hours. You see, the universe tests every person who claims to want more by presenting them with immediate opportunities to prove their commitment. Within hours of receiving new understanding about your potential, you will face circumstances that demand you either act on what you now know or retreat to what you have always done. These are not coincidences. These are confirmations of your readiness to step into greatness. The excuses are already forming in your mind, aren't they? You are already thinking of reasons why this applies to other people but not to you, why these principles work for others but cannot work in your situation, why you need to wait for better timing, more resources, or different circumstances. But these thoughts are not coming from the new version of yourself. These are the death gasps of the old version trying to maintain control over your life. I am telling you as one who has walked this path, as one who has built wealth from wisdom and created legacy from consciousness, that everything you need to transform your life already exists within you. You do not need more education before you can begin. You do not need more money before you can start. You do not need more connections before you can move. You need more courage to act on what you already know, more faith to begin where you already are, more commitment to use what you already have. The God who created the universe dwells within you. The same intelligence that spoke galaxies into existence flows through your thoughts. The same creative power that formed mountains and oceans beats within your heart. You are not lacking anything necessary for success. You are only lacking the recognition and activation of what you already possess. But recognition and activation require a decision followed by immediate action. You must decide right now, in this moment, that you will no longer tolerate living below your potential. You must choose today to stop accepting circumstances that contradict your divine design. You must commit immediately to thoughts, words, and behaviors that align with who you are becoming rather than who you have been. This is not a someday decision. This is not a when I feel ready choice. This is not a after I have all the answers commitment. This is a right now, in this moment, despite your fear and beyond your doubt decision that changes everything that follows. The wealthy life is calling your name. The abundant future is extending its hand. The extraordinary destiny is opening its doors, but you must step forward. You must reach out. You must walk through. No one can make this choice for you. No one can take these steps for you. No one can live this life for you. Stand up from wherever you are sitting and declare out loud, I am done living small. I am done accepting less. I am done waiting for permission to become who I was created to be. Say it like you mean it. Say it like your future depends on it. Say it like the person you are becoming is more real than the person you have been. Your transformation starts now. Your wealthy life begins today. Your extraordinary future is waiting for you to step into it with the confidence of one who knows that victory is not possible but guaranteed. The time for preparation is over. The time for activation has arrived. The God within you is ready to build through you the life you were always meant to live. In the stillness of this moment, you can feel it, can't you? That subtle shift in the atmosphere around you, as if the very air has become charged with possibility. Something ancient has awakened within you, something that has been sleeping beneath layers of doubt and limitation, waiting for this exact moment to stir back to life. Picture a magnificent cathedral that has stood empty for decades, its doors locked, its windows covered, its altar cold. Then one day, someone finds the key, pushes open the heavy doors, and light floods into every corner, revealing the breathtaking beauty that was always there, hidden in darkness. The cathedral was never broken. It was never worthless. It was simply waiting for someone to remember its true purpose and activate its sacred space. This is what has happened within you today. The temple of your consciousness has been reopened. The altar of your heart has been rekindled. The sacred fire of your divine nature burns brighter now than it has in years, perhaps decades. You are no longer the same person who began this journey of remembering. Every breath you take from this moment forward carries within it the recognition of who you truly are. Every heartbeat confirms your worthiness of abundance. Every thought has the potential to reshape reality because you now understand that you think with the mind of God, feel with the heart of the infinite, and create with the hands of the divine. The wealth you seek is already seeking you. The opportunities you desire are already conspiring in your favor. The life you envision is already emerging from the realm of possibility into the realm of reality. This is not hope. This is knowing. This is not wishful thinking. This is spiritual law in motion. If you feel called to walk deeper into this understanding, to explore further the mysteries of your divine inheritance, subscribe and continue this sacred journey with me. Because what you have discovered today is not the end of revelation, but the beginning of transformation. You are the miracle you have been waiting for. You always have been.